Hello and welcome to another episode of our From the Helm series live here at Bell Financial Group. I'm Grady Wulff, Senior Market Analyst with Bell Financial Group. Today I thought let's do something different. We'll bring to you our Meet the Analyst series and From the Helm series in one video. That way you can understand the in-depth analysis and research that goes behind the valuation of the companies our Bell Potter research team does, at the same time as hearing from the Helm, the CEO of the company themselves. With that, I bring to you John Hester, our healthcare analyst in the Bell Potter research team, who provides really in-depth analysis and really great stories of the companies he covers, as well as Silviu, Itescu, the CEO of Mesoblast, a company that has been making waves in the industry recently following the commercialisation and approval of its Ryoncil drug, to understand John's valuation of the company as well as what the company is up to and the pipeline for the next 2 years, which is very exciting. Gentlemen, thank you for joining me today.
Thanks, Grady.
Thanks.
Good to be here. Nice to be here.
Now, congratulations on the approval of Ryoncil. Obviously, for our investors, they might not know about this drug just yet, also about graft-versus-host disease. Silviu, can you give us kind of an overview of what it is for our investors out there?
Graft-versus-host disease happens in people who've got an underlying leukemia, have been treated with chemotherapy to cure their leukemia. Unfortunately, that also destroys your bone marrow, so then they need a bone marrow transplant from an unrelated donor. 50% of the time, the bone marrow transplant attacks them and attacks their skin, the gut, the liver. And unfortunately, for those who don't respond to steroids, it's often fatal.
Yeah, absolutely.
And 70% to 80% of children will die of this disease within the first 3 to 6 months.
Yeah, so for those who don't know Ryoncil, it has been approved. It's the world's first treatment for this disease in children in the US. Can you tell us about the principles of this drug and how exactly it works? Is it an injection? Is it a tablet? What's it about?
Sure. So Ryoncil is the first and only FDA-approved stem cell product in the US. It's an off-the-shelf stem cell therapeutic. We make it from healthy donors who provide a little bit of their bone marrow donated to us. We then manufacture it industrialized manner. It's manufactured in the US, and then it's expanded, so it's multiplied in large numbers. You end up with a very potent cell product that's frozen at minus 130, and we ship it around to the end user, to the hospital.
Now, can you take the moment to describe the FDA approval process? Now, obviously, it's quite a lengthy process. Investors know from day one of discovering a drug to getting 10 years down the track to commercialization. It's been a really long process. Can you tell us about the process for Ryoncil?
Well, apart from the fact that we were successful in our phase 3 trial, we met the endpoint. The children who were treated in our phase 3 trial have, instead of a 30% survival, have a 70% survival. So it's highly successful. Despite all that, it's the first in class of a new whole range of therapeutics, and it was a difficult process to get through the FDA. Very conservative group of reviewers, despite the fact that when we were first reviewed, the experts in the world voted 9-1 that the product should have been approved. We were still rejected.
Because of the one?
No, just because the FDA felt very conservative.
Yeah.
And so then we went back and we performed some additional studies. We showed that the children who were alive from the trial had a very high success rate, even for 5 years, meaning that there's a very high curative rate.
Yeah.
So it's not just short-term, it's long-term. We also improved some of our what's called potency assays, meaning that we can demonstrate that every single batch of product is exactly the same and delivers the exact same outcomes. And that's what the FDA wanted to see, which we met their requirements, and we were fortunate that actually about 7-8 months ago, we were the first stem cell product to be approved in the US by the FDA.
Now, John, obviously you've covered Mesoblast for quite a while now. You've been quite bullish on the company. They've just reported June revenues for the quarter, which included the first ever sales of Ryoncil. How did you assess them as going?
Yeah, so the company reported gross revenues of $13.5 million US. That's not the bottom line though. We're looking for net sales, and that'll be reported in a few weeks' time when the company reports its half-year result. So at $13.5 million at 1.5 or thereabouts, slightly less than that, for a full course of therapy, the adoption rate was very, very good in that first quarter. Now, this was the first quarter on market in the US. It was subject to a limited rollout amongst a smallish number of hospitals, though that hospital adoption base will grow in subsequent quarters.
Yep.
So we're very confident that the revenues are going to grow exponentially in the coming year.
Now, talking about the growth that you're looking at, obviously you do project and forecast the outlook for growth of revenues.
Yep.
What are you expecting over the coming quarters? What growth rate are you looking at?
So for fiscal year 26, so we've just started fiscal year 26, we're looking for around about 70 million US of revenues. Now, bear in mind that the net number for the first quarter was around about 12, say. Annualise that, you get to 48. We're still pretty comfortable that 70 number.
Wow.
is achievable.
It's a big number, but it's obviously a very crucial part of the market as well. Now, Silviu, switching gears, Mesoblast is not a one asset company. You have another asset and another few assets actually underway right now. But your candidate in Revascor for the treatment of heart failure, you have the DREAM HF trial reported in 2022. Can you give us a quick wrap of that drug and what that is aiming to do in the market?
Yeah, well, all of our drugs leverage similar technology,
Yeah.
cells that actually turn off very bad, damaging inflammation. So heart failure is another disease which is caused by severe inflammation. And in our first phase 3 trial, what we showed is that patients who had high inflammatory disease were much more at risk of dying, and treatment with one shot of Revascor by catheter into the heart muscle significantly reduced mortality by about 50 to 60% over a 3-year period, and even more dramatically reduced the risk of having a heart attack by about 88%.
Wow.
So these are big numbers when you think that it's one shot of our cells on top of the maximal standard of care.
How does it compare in the amount of cells you need per injection and per dose from Ryoncil to Revascor?
Well, it's a different product,
Yeah.
and it's a different disease.
Mm-hmm.
So GVHD is an extremely fatal disease,
Yeah.
if not turned off immediately. So we use Ryoncil as a multi-infusion product intravenously. Heart failure is a little bit more indolent, takes longer to succumb.
Yeah.
And so one shot, but a higher dose, 150 million cells, one shot seems to give us at least 3 years worth of benefit.
Wow.
So we're very excited about that program. And in fact, we have another component of the heart failure indication for patients at the most extreme end who are being kept alive by an artificial heart called an LVAD. In that group of patients, again, the same product, Revascor, single injection, improved survival through 12 months as well. So in 2 overlapping studies, we've now seen survival benefits. And those are discussions that we're having with the FDA around potential approval for Revascor.
Now, on that topic of the FDA, you did recently meet with them to talk, and there was some positive news coming out of that chat. Can you tell us about the way forward and what's shaping up for Revascor?
Yeah, look, in the area of heart failure, the pathway we hope to see is through an accelerated pathway towards approval. The meeting we just had with the FDA, we were in alignment on potency assays, manufacturing, and what a further trial would look like post-approval for the broader indication. So we were delighted by the outcome of that study.
Yeah, they must see something that investors are obviously seeing right now as well in the company. Now, John, how does heart failure indication measure up against graft-versus-host disease, and how will commercialisation proceed, assuming the accelerated approval is provided next year?
In one word, big. The heart failure market is multiples of the size of graft versus host.
Mm-hmm.
There's something like 6 to 7 million patients in the US newly diagnosed every year. Silviu, I think that's about right.
That's right.
Of those, about 1 million have the deadly combination of ischemic heart disease with inflammation.
Wow.
So your potential market here is looking at up to 1 million patients a year at somewhere between 10 and 20,000 per patient for a single injection.
Yeah.
Okay, so the numbers grow very, very substantially. In terms of commercialisation, look, the company's yet to come out to the market and discuss that in any great detail, but my expectation would be that there will be a partner involved. There are multiple companies, the Lillys, the top tier pharma groups who have got established sales forces. There's no need for Mesoblast to turn around and establish, a copycat of that sales force. So I expect that they'll do a commercialisation transaction. Won't necessarily be a license transaction, but a commercialisation transaction with one of those groups.
Yeah.
And bearing in mind that some of the largest revenue-generating heart drugs are imminently coming off patent in the next couple of years. So we expect that there'll be a very significant appetite for this first-in-class therapy in the cardiac market, in the not-too-distant future.
And for investors who might not understand that some drugs are coming off patent, what does that open up the opportunity? Like, how is that an opportunity for Mesoblast?
Well, the largest heart failure drug in the world at the moment is from Novartis. It's called Entresto. Its revenues in fiscal year 25 are on track for $9 billion.
Wow.
And that drug will become a generic within a couple of years.
Yeah.
So, all these large pharma groups need to replace those revenues because once the drug comes off, particularly small molecule drugs come off patent, their revenues will cut by 50 to 60% once the 3 or 4 generics come on market.
Yeah.
So that's a big gap that they've got to fill.
Yeah.
And there's plenty of M&A teams looking for replacement products.
Silviu, finally, what is the key learning points that you've gone through for the Ryoncil process that you're going to take with other candidates in the works right now in terms of getting them to commercialization more rapidly?
Look, I look at Ryoncil as our halo product. First of all, we demonstrated that we could get a first-in-class cell therapy product over the line with the FDA. So that's the first lesson. How we did that is a process in itself, and we've learned from that and adapted it to all of our other pipelines that allows us not to make the same mistakes. You don't make the same mistakes twice. And so we're very confident that we know how to take a product through the FDA. Since FDA approval, we've really put up in rapid time from a standing start a strong sales marketing team that's shown that we can bring a product to the end user, that we've achieved good adoption rates rapidly, and most importantly, that we can interact with the payers, the healthcare payers in the US. We've now got about 250 million lives covered by private insurance. We've got federal Medicaid coverage. We've got every state in America has mandated to cover it through Medicaid.
Yeah.
So the fact that we can do all of that, get reimbursement, get paid, and start to make inroads into the whole market are lessons that are totally translatable to all of the rest of our pipeline.
It's very, very good for the outlook for the company. And finally, John, why are you so bullish on Mesoblast? And you have been for quite some time.
Yep.
It's not an overly covered stock in the market. So what attracted you to the company?
Well, first of all, the valuation.
Yep.
$3 billion of market cap today, I believe, is a fraction of what this group will be worth in 3 or 5 years' time with multiple products on market. Just to remind everyone, Ryoncil sells for approximately $1.4 million in the US.
Per dose?
It is per patient.
Which
per
is
patient.
Nuts. Yeah.
You've got label expansion coming in inflammatory bowel disease for that, as well as in the adult population for graft-versus-host. We've talked about acute respiratory distress syndrome as well. There are multiple label expansions in the pipeline at this time, and those are real. And those have all been subject to clinical trials in the not too distant past.
And that's just the one drug.
That's just the one drug.
And then you've got the other ones in the pipeline as
So
well.
then you've got heart failure, and we haven't even talked about lower back pain today.
Exactly, we've got that as well.
So that trial is currently in its second phase 3 at the moment. It is expected to complete recruitment in the early part of calendar year 26. And then a 12-month period for the data to mature. So the pipeline is full. The company has taken a very staged approach, a measured approach to the deployment of their capital to manage these risks. And so in a few years' time, we're quite confident that this picture is going to look very, very attractive.
So the only way is up, according to John and Silviu. Thank you so much for joining us today from the Helm and with Meet the Analyst. Thank you so much for joining us for that episode of From the Helm and Meet the Analyst. I really hope you enjoyed that insightful outlook on both how John analyzes Mesoblast and also for so much in the pipeline for Mesoblast from the company themselves. I really hope you enjoyed it as much as we did filming it. If you did, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel to stay up to date with all market commentary, insights, and obviously exclusive interviews like the one we just did.